Hey everyone, thanks for joining. You can see some clients from the UK, some from Australia. So welcome to everyone. We'll kick this off in a couple of seconds, but I expect this to take 25-30 minutes or so. Normal housekeeping stuff. If you have questions as we go through it, feel free to pop them into the chat, and we will look to monitor them as we go. But there should be a little bit of time at the end as well, should there be any sort of burning questions to address towards the end. But um, so this release went out a week and a half ago or so. So it's now live within the product, and many of our clients are benefiting from it already. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, so in terms of you may have seen an email. We sort of there was a handful of our clients having an issue when it came to logging in. So you may have seen an email come around about that, but very simply, just need to clear the cache if anybody is having that issue. We'll then go through a live run through of the latest and greatest has just come into it. And of course, how to get in touch with us if you want to do some training. And we thought we'd share what we see coming in the next 6 months or so in the product, and share with you certainly a slide of the upcoming next release that's due in a little over a month's time. One of the more hotly requested features that we've had for many years. So really excited to get that finally in. But that's for a future release. So in terms of the quick support note, if you are having the issue in logging in, and it's just sort of like almost faking a login and just sort of repeating itself, super simple. Just clear the cache within the within your browser, and it should be good to go. So what we're going to go through today, a big one for us was, or the problem we were looking to solve here was, is there a way that we can help our MSP partners present more and useful information to their end clients? Okay, so inside Autotask, inside ConnectWise, there's a section on the relevant places where just on the invoice description. So we'll walk you through a few scenarios that we're already seeing getting used, but I expect over time there's probably going to be some really cool use cases as to how you might leverage that capability. And then the next part around NC Easy, there's been quite a big update in terms of both the way we read data, the way we sync to Microsoft. For those who aren't fully aware of it, but NC Easy is our direct integration via API we've got with Microsoft Partner Center. And the whole, based on the name, right? The whole premise of that module was to help with the renewals of NC Easy or NCE, which is anything but easy. As we've built more around that and had clients come back to us, like it's becoming a source of truth for user-based billing or anything user-based that you may want to verify. So in this update, there's an important step towards having that source data and having the user names themselves, as well as a few other fields that you can actually use in conjunction with the pushback to the invoice description, should you wish to. Okay, so let's jump into it now. We'll spend our time in two different vendors here. So the first one is within Microsoft. That will come down here, and within the settings per vendor, we've now introduced an option for pushback description. So this will display when enable pushback is on. So I think majority of the people already have pushback on. And when you click that on, then both of these boxes will appear. If this is blank, I'd recommend just leaving that blank. Charges are a way that you can push one-time consumption-based items into the relevant PSAs. Pushback description, when on, will offer a new, we'll actually do a couple of things. So inside here now, you'll see three different toggles. Okay. The two that we've known forever is pushback on unit cost, pushback on unit count. So they're doing exactly the same things they've always been doing. This only displays just as a reminder if the unit cost and the unit cost that's inside the CRM on that singular CRM service don't match. So now when we push back, we can update the cost, the cell, we've always had that. but now you can see some information within a description. You can update one, two, or all three of them in one go. And this description here, I'll show you in a sec where this has actually come from, but this is what can be pushed into the invoice description within the relevant Autotask or ConnectWise. And same here. So we're going to update account, and you may go, yes, I do want this specific information to live within the invoice description because I want that to be displayed to the customer. Okay. Where that then goes, okay, so normal sync with CRM, where that then goes is within the service, and it's exactly the same between Autotask and ConnectWise. I'm obviously just showing Autotask here. But you can then, it just comes into the invoice description, and then you can optionally through the invoice editor, then apply this. Generally it's there, but you can then apply this so the customer can see this. We think the username, or it certainly is, right? Username at the moment is sort of the quickest cab off the rank as it's seen in the last week and a half. But if you think about it, I want information shown to my customer, then it's really just a matter of deciding on the logic that you want to apply, number one, but also from the data set, what we've now opened up. So this is the import tab on the like to be imported. So first tab, we've now opened up this column, and all we've done here, like super simple in this instance, is just like this is my column over here that I want to bring into it. Okay. So lining it up here will then import in and give you the option to bring that back. So you could look at this as I would like to display the devices. I would like to display the device IDs. I would like to display certain date fields. Perhaps even based on some specific logic. So, hey, Cloud Olive, can you pick up if this is a yearly subscription within Microsoft? I would like the end date to be applied within the invoice description. Just as an example, if it's monthly, don't worry about it at all. This column, although we're not leveraging it in this release, it will come very, very, very soon. So it's already been built. It's just we won't have anything to show right now, but just to give you an idea, with certain vendors, you may want to bill just whatever is in a specific column when it comes to the regular retail price or RRP. So at the moment, we can set it at a margin level. We can set it at a vendor or at a specific line item level, no problem. But if there's something specific within the file you want us to compare against, then that's going to be coming in the not too distant future. Okay. The other area that I see this being very heavily used is so within the charges side of it. So slightly different here. In our MSP, we choose to create the Azure lines case by case whenever we're doing the actual pushback. So very similar, but I've now got all three of those tick boxes on. So as you can see here, right, one of the workflows we always thought that we would build something that could offer this option is one of the questions we always ask, or one sort of question that every MSP that sells Azure or consumption-based items, telco, possibly print, but mainly telco and Azure. Azure probably the more commonly resold service in this scenario is how many line items will you show the customer, number one, and how many line items, and generally the answer is either one or many, okay? And if you're showing many of those line items, it becomes quite hard to manage often inside the relevant PSAs, Autotask ConnectWise. So one of the options that this thing can offer, okay, is, hey, Mr. End customer, here's your total cost, but on the invoice description, we can then dynamically collapse. So all the virtual storage, even though maybe there was 15 lines and they were $2 each here and $1 here and all the rest of it, we can then, if as an option, go, hey, bring them into individual line items and then push that back in. So we have fewer line items to manage within the PSA. We can still more easily report on the overall margin at the Azure level. But for certain customers, they really want to understand a more granular breakdown of it. We just don't want to manage it on a line by line item basis and have tons of different products and services to contend with. And where that will come into from an auto task perspective, it's just it will just display itself here, and again push straight into the invoice description, and away you go. So here's just a scenario where just thinking about what information would you want to show the customer if it's in the data set. We can do some really clever things around bring it in if this certain condition is actually met, and then show it in whatever means you would like it to be shown in. Again, feel free if there's any questions that come to mind, feel free to pop them into the chat. In terms of getting started with it, by all means, feel free to book in a 30-minute session with the team, or email support@cloudolive.com. Actually, I'll go through the one other piece with regards to the NC Easy update. So the two updates with NC Easy. A big one is now on a nightly basis, we're going to be syncing into Microsoft and reading more information, displaying it in the export. And where the export can be accessed is within the vendors tab. At present, we've only got the API integration into Microsoft. Export there. There's far more information available in that export now that can be leveraged in other areas. Okay, so the ones in green weren't there 2 weeks ago and are there now. What's going to be coming very, very soon, this is just getting tracked in our own internal system right now, but very soon. Well, if you've got 300 users at an end client, you may not want to display all the names because there's no point. There's too much going on there, right? But you may want to go, hey, I'd love to just display in the last 30 days what has come off and or what has come on. So this is just going to be syncing each night, snapshotting this down, and then remembering the information from 30 days prior on a rolling 30-day basis. So you can see here, this can very, very easily, and it comes back to this logic piece of it and just thinking, what would you want to display on the invoice description? And you may go something like this. If the assigned count is more than 30, or pick your number, and there's been information that's been applied here or here, bring both of them in to the invoice description pushback. And again, provided we've just got it inside of Cloud Olive, you can then optionally choose to push that or edit it prior to pushing it back in, or you may skip it for whatever reason. Okay. So these here have been an important step. And the other one that we've seen already getting used here is the logic around, okay, there's 20 assigned users, but the end client in this case is committed to more than 20, let's say 22. The workflow that people are that have used here is go, okay, if the number of assigned is different to the committed and it's on a yearly commit, then Cloud Olive, bring in the relevant information. Let them know it's a yearly commit. Let them know that renewal actually doesn't take effect. They can't downgrade this until the 26th of November. But if everything matches, don't worry about it. Okay. So just thinking through again, if the general rule of thumb, right? If you've got data and someone could manually do that task, there's a really, really good chance that we'll be able to lift that workflow and just pop it into Cloud Olive, and we'll then remember it month on month. One of the other changes that came into it, and it will affect some, not all, but if you have a client that has multiple of the same service, so you can see here business basic, business basic, business basic, and they're actually, so this is a monthly, and this one here is a yearly commit. So in the prior release, this would have grouped the user counts in a way that would have probably created a bit of a false positive. So what this now displays is all 4 users, and then we can just see the 4 different humans that are against those licenses. Via the Microsoft API, there's actually no way for us to determine if this person, Polter, belongs to this line item or this line item, being the different subscriptions. We know that they're separate because they've got different subscription IDs, fine, but there's no way for us to determine if it's against business basic A, B, or C in this scenario. Um, so what we've now just done is pull them all together. And this will now remove any of the false positives from the unassigned levels. This here, this update here, though, if you export this data out, that's the number that you want to know. That there is the number of assigned users based on the last sync. And remembering this is happening every 24 hours, or if you force a sync and it's happened sooner. So this is the magic number when it comes to assigned users. And then if you manually exclude a user, then we can, of course, go 20 minus 1 equals 19, should you want to do that. Very easy to do. So in terms of future roadmap coming up, the next update is what we're classing the reverse reconciliation. And I'll share a screenshot with you now. Yeah, we can go through it in a little bit more detail. Then, of course, if you've got the next one, bulk pushback. So both of these will be before the year is out. And bulk pushback is pretty self-explanatory. You have 50 different discrepancies. Cloud Olive, I want to commit them all in one go. So we'll have the workflow will certainly be some form of pop-up, which then goes, hey, here are the 180 different updates you're about to make. And why the volume could be quite large is because we'll certainly be looking at the unit count, of course. It could be the unit cost. It could be the sell price. It could also be the invoice description. So all of those components and items could, in theory, be bulk updated in one go. And where that ties in really nicely with the RRP piece is when Microsoft rolls out their new pricing updates every 6 to 9 months. That from the vendor invoice as well, the RRPs there, like it then gives you a very seamless way to just update the new price point, double check everything, check you're going to make the margins you anticipate, and just make everything bulletproof accurate. So in conjunction with those two different features, sort of solves a common issue that people are like every MSP has in one way or another. Direct API integrations. So with Microsoft, although the core first principle for us was to solve the renewals of NCE, we've really been driven towards the user base counts, and it makes a lot of sense. 80% of revenue, certainly along with devices, users and devices, that accounts for more than 80% of the average MSP's revenue. So getting the user base piece from just giving you an option for source data was important. The next APIs that we're going to be rolling out are all around the RMM. So the four key first ones that we're going to be deploying are Data RMM, Enable RMM, ConnectWise RMM, and Ninja RMM. They're the four. And that gives us now, and they will be rolled out to the vendors tab that you currently get the NCEasy information. We envisage over the next 12 months, certainly 2026, there'll be a big focus in pushing more towards API integrations with the key suppliers. We do have now access to around about half a dozen of the key distributors. We're not going to just replicate what many of those have actually already built, and I'll share with you in coming months the way in which our system and their data and the other APIs we're going to be building, how we can begin orchestrating data to really, really, really save time and to drive efficiencies, help with alerting when things are a little bit off. So always going to be there for the admin finance team, but we can see that where we're getting pulled is also going to help with quality control across technical teams as well, because all the information is required and necessary. And then last but certainly not least, in the new year, the Halo integration will go live. So first up is the reverse reconciliation. The enhancement here is this is the MRR Insights with a bit of a rework and a bit of a facelift. So the reverse reconciliation, it somewhat goes in waves, but for periods of time, it's been the most requested feature. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Where we're coming from here is if you started with Cloud Olive this month, we don't know, and you bring in your Microsoft file and there's 100 line items, there's not an easy way to know if there's extra line items that you're billing your customers that are no longer on the vendor file, okay? So the last reconciled field that you can see here will be going I'm looking at the reconciliation. This line item here, as per the MRR Insights now, is a replica of every single service or addition that lives inside of your Autotask or ConnectWise. Okay. So if we have mapped this service to a line item, a cost that's come from a vendor in the past from the reconciliation module, then we will timestamp the last time that that was done and give the ability there to filter on, hey, show me things that have never been show me things that have never been reconciled. There is a chance that you could be overbilling a customer there, and you don't want that. It's hard to find. You may trip over it, or worst case, a customer actually alerts you to it. We will solve that very, very, very soon. The other thing is to be able to dynamically filter. So we know which vendor this service comes from because we're reading it from the reconciliation. Everything you see here will have some elegance where you can go, as an example, this service will never be reconciled by Cloud Olive. I don't want this to be alerting every single month. Totally fine. We'll of course have something similar to a hide or an ignore type of concept there. But we really, really, really want to solve here the step prior to you pressing go on the invoicing out of your PSA, out of your Autotask or ConnectWise. This is the final last check to be able to see anything that may bring questions back from your end clients once the all of the costs, all the invoices are then sent out. So one of the other items that we were sort of listening to users talk about was being able to quickly identify the top 80% of your revenue. Okay. Normally in the 80/20 rule, right? So there's going to be, if you've got 100 customers, 20% will account for probably 80% of all the revenue you're going to get. So being able to quickly identify key accounts, review everything, push them through, get your money, like start getting paid for those services, and then look at the long tail of all the other accounts within there. So again, there's going to be a number of different items here which help just isolate information that you can then just make the whole process a little bit smoother and simpler. If there is anyone that looks at this and goes, this looks great, have you thought about this? Hey, why don't you merge these fields in here? We've got this problem like this. Please email me direct at adam@cloudolive.com. I'd love to bring you in closer to this build that we're going to be starting in the next in the next week or so. So would love your feedback. The whole aim here, of course, is to begin merging the reconciliation module with the MRR Insights module. Because at the end of the day, when we begin linking back the API integrations that we're building, meaning like in the future, right, we will of course have the ability to link all the different API vendor integrations that we've got and link that directly to your PSA, or in our world, it's directly into your MRR Insights because it's replicating the same thing. Hence why the source of truth or how this service is getting updated, it might be Cloud Olive API for many of these things. Okay. But quickly isolate what the team needs to look at is the goal. So again, email adam@cloudolive.com if you're interested in helping us build that out and have some thoughts. So just a small reminder, a few months back, we released the documentation portal. So just in the little head, as you're logging out, just before the logout, there's a documentation module by module. We'll continue to add to this and flesh this out. But loads of videos, loads of information. This has been, we've broken it down per module. This is the reconciliation module that we're sort of displaying here. Recommend using this, certainly, especially if there's new people that are coming into the team. It can answer a lot of the questions that they're likely going to be asking in their own time. I've just had a question come through on the pushback. So question was, can it update, if you've got a one-to-many, can it update multiple services in one hit? Not at this stage. It's actually a really good question. It's going to be updating whichever one is mapped within the UI, that core main line is going to be the one that we're going to push that into at this stage. Happy to take that offline and sort of think about that scenario. But at the moment, it's a one-to-one pushback for invoice description update. Yeah, cool. And that gets us to 5 minutes before the end, and I always like to give people back a few minutes. um, so maybe we'll wait a minute or so if there's any questions. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. All good. We must have nailed it. Listen, guys, we yeah, appreciate your time as always. And yeah, either hit up support@cloudolive.com or email me direct at adam@cloudolive.com with any thoughts or ways we can you think we can improve, make your life easier. Can you show the QR code? Yep, 2 secs. So QR code just here. Yeah, thanks, Chuck. We should probably put that at the end from now on. Perfect. We'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this recording as well if there's anybody else in the team that needs to review it. But without further ado, have a good day and evening wherever you're calling in from. Speak to you soon.